Ramana Maharshi, the great sage from South India, he was once talking about what human life was like, or the life story of life was like, from the story of beginning to end in the simplest allegory possible. And he told the story of a bull, and the bull lives on a farm, and the farm has a barn, and in the barn is when the winter comes, there's plenty of food. When the rains come, there's plenty of food. And then there's a pasture, there's grass where the bull can go and feed. And the bull has this love of the farmer to take care of him, but he also has this impetuous curiosity. And frequently the bull barges out of the fences, he breaks through. He's this big creature, and he has the capacity to break the boundaries of where he's kept. And he goes out and he feeds in other farmers' fields, and they run up to him with sticks and beat him and throw stones at him and things. And then he comes back to the farm where he was taken care of. And then in time, as his adventurousness and his desires for adventure dwindle, he goes into the barn and he lays down and he dies. And it doesn't sound like much of a story, but the meaning of the story, as Ramana told it, was this entity called the ego is born, and it's born in a body, and it has many, many different bodies, and that's the bull. And the bull has a heart. And as he describes the death of the bull, he says, and the mind dies, and the energy that is the mind drops away, and there's no more ideation, there's no more false thought system that's creating the whole manifest universe. There's no belief in the world anymore, the entity that's attached to pain and sorrow. And the bull tasting these luscious grasses in faraway fields that have different qualities, and being beaten is like the pleasures of the world and the pain of the world and the adventure of the ego. But when he goes into the barn, it's like when he goes into this quality inside himself that we all go into. It's this sort of dawning of an awareness that my attack thoughts, my defense thoughts, my attachment to this limited self-concept that the ego spins into form gets cut. It gets, like the umbilical cord, we get cut from the ego thought system. And that's what happens when the bull tires of this pleasure and pain, this up and down, this worry and depression and fear and heart problems and stress and bullies and being bullied and the drama of the world. And the barn represents this cocoon of the mind that is determined to see differently. That's what he enters in the barn, and somehow he's taken care of. And of course, in the world we have to do so many things often to take care of ourselves, but we have to most of all marry trust with some sense of practicality. Where are we going to sleep tonight? What are we going to eat? How is our relationship with our family? These things and friends. But in the very later stages, when he lies in the barn, it's like trust has brought him home, right? Everything is that he needs is everything that happens is what he needs, and everything that he needs is given. And that's where trust takes you. And it could be like you need a horrible boss to leave that job, or you need someone to kick you out of where you are so you can go to a ultimately better place. But all things in the world are transient, and so the better place is within. So if the world is outside the barn is the mind, right? But then he dies to the identity that is the mind, and the symbolism of that is that his consciousness melts into the heart. And so does he die? In the story he dies, but what dies? What dies is everything but the thing that's real, which is the heart. And he doesn't say it's the bull's heart. He says it's the heart. And there's only one heart. Hridayam in Sanskrit it's called. And so this is, our story. We are pushed and pulled by our fretting and our judgments and our fear. And at some point in our journey, we enter sort of a monastic retreat in our minds. It doesn't have to be in a monastery, but there's a falling away of the identity. And the way you kind of get the sense from the Hindu philosophy, if you subscribe to that, is that this mind creates endless bodies until we master this moment of melting back into the heart. And it seems from the perspective of the body's eyes and the ego's eyes that you're giving something up, but you're actually just walking away from suffering and the root of suffering. You're pulling it out from the soils that your belief system about yourself have fertilized and brought this root up to give you all these adventures. But there comes a time where you deny the denial of the truth of your heart nature and your limitations and your separation and your fear. And that's the story of the bull as told by Ramana.